Welcome to What CEOs Talk About. Do you wonder what CEOs talk about behind closed doors? How they bring their vision to reality? How do they overcome and succeed through adversity? We share that and so much more with each episode. Now, let's get started with the show.
Hello, everybody. My name is Martin Hunter. I am the host of What CEOs Talk About, where we translate strategy into frontline operations. Today, my guest, Matt, the Executive Director at Mission Possible. Thank you for being on the show.
Thanks for having me.
Matt, you have a dark secret. And I'm going to keep people on the suspense. We're not going to say. So for people who don't know, what's an ED? What's an executive director? What's the difference between a CEO and an executive director?
Actually, I have two titles.
Oh,
so I'm the executive director and CEO.
Ooh.
And not everybody gets two titles in their name. At our organization, just because of the philosophy of what we do, that actually stands for Chief Empowerment Officer as opposed to Chief Executive Officer.
Okay.
So not every nonprofit, executive director has two titles.
We're going to have fun with the microphone set. I was like, I just feel like a fish going for a lure here.
You shouldn't have a chair and you can do squats up and down.
That's right. That's right. Hey, don't give Lucas a hard time. Okay. He's been working hard behind the scenes on getting us set up. So anyway, so executive director, what's the difference? So you got two titles. What's the difference between executive director and CEO?
Yeah, the main difference is that executive directors are also responsible for fundraising.
Ooh.
So in addition to making sure, you've got solid financial operations, you have to also be able to build good partnerships with people to be able to fund your operation and make the impact that you're trying to make through your nonprofit.
So we'll get to Mission Possible in a little bit. What's like every other guests? What is the title of the show? What have you chosen?
So what this show is called is When Business Doesn't Make Money.
Some people are going to say, what is this podcast about? Not making Martin Hunter. What CEOs talk about not making money? So why? No, you know what? Let's keep it a secret for now.
All right.
Let's go through your story.
Yeah.
So let's talk about Matt. Back in 19...
Back there, way back. Yep. In last century,
Last century.
Yeah. I was born at a very young age and grew up in Pennsylvania.
Okay.
Rural Pennsylvania, in a really small town. Actually lived outside of a small town.
A small town of a small town.
As an adult, I went to university and then met my wife when I was in university. Mm-hmm. And we had intended to do essentially church work, religious work, and went to seminary and totally hated it. It was 1 year of seminary in Kansas City. So you think of like a really, rural kid moving to a city that it's a really challenging city with, a lot of different issues, that are present there. And, in that, it was really this sense of like, okay, this isn't a great fit for me. It's not a great fit for my wife. And so we have friends here in Vancouver. And so we decided to move up and do grad school up here. And so we did that in 2003, planned to be gone by 2006. What year is it now?
I don't know.
Anyway, we've been here for a while became citizens not too long ago.
Congratulations.
And actually just got my first Canadian passport today. And so I feel like I've arrived. There's no going back now. I've got a passport. So yeah.
Congratulations on that one. And it's just you or your wife as well? Same thing at the same time or?
At the same time. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
And all of your kids born
here in Vancouver. Yep.
Okay, so Canadian. So you can't now. You can really not leave.
That's right.
You can't go back.
Yep, we're lifers now for sure. Yeah.
So tell us your journey now. So we've got you until. So what's Mission Possible and how did you get there? No, actually, let's go. Let's keep the story going until it reaches Mission Possible.
Yeah. So funny story. Yeah. So we had planned this, short-term stopover in Vancouver, and then the plan was we were going to go work overseas.
Okay.
And wanted to do kind of church / nonprofit work, community development kind of stuff. My own personal experience and everything, I wasn't really exposed a lot to urban life, issues of urban poverty, especially in North America. And, especially when they're racialized, all those kinds of things. Like I was a rural kid, trying to figure stuff out as I moved here. But I had some great people, great friends, and one of them was the executive director at Mission Possible.
Okay.
And so he invited me to volunteer. And so I started volunteering at Mission Possible and came down, helped serve some meals, and really I liked the work. I liked the people that are here in this community. And so I ended up kind of taking on more of that, volunteering a few times. And then, the whole like family story is my wife graduated with her master's degree. And so she started working. And then I was working in the trades as an electrician at the time. And so I quit working and I stayed home with our boys. And so I got to be a stay-at-home dad for 2 years. Probably 2 of the funnest years of my life. Just being at home with my kids, it was fantastic. I loved it. I would do it again in a heartbeat. And then there was just opportunity for me to look for part-time work.
Okay, gotcha.
And so I was able to start working at Mission Possible part-time. And
as an electrician?
No, I left the whole trade behind and just started working, assisting the executive director. He was moving toward retirement.
Okay.
And he was taking steps to kind of delegate some of his duties out so he could reduce his time. And so I got to start. It was like 10 hours a week, and I really enjoyed being a part of the community, being a part of Mission Possible. And it really started to affect me. It started to affect who I was, how I thought. Started to challenge all of these assumptions that I had about why people are experiencing poverty, why people are homeless. There's kind of these common stories that we often have, and there's lots of stigma attached to those. And a lot of those just started being deconstructed for me. And, for me, it was a lot of personal growth. And rather than kind of feeling like I have no idea how to, do anything to address urban poverty, I realized, I'm here, a part of building some community and relationships with people who are experiencing this. And so when the opportunity arose, I stayed on, and I ended up moving to full-time work. And then I stuck around too long, and then they put me in charge. And so that's all you need. You just got to outlast everybody. It's kind of like Survivor.
Who's left? Matt, you're it. That's it. You're good. Was Mission Possible the same thing back then as what it is today?
Very different. Yeah, very different. So when I started, there was really just kind of street level care, helping people with clothing, helping people with food and nutrition, helping people with housing applications, doing those kinds of
traditional kind of charity kind of let's help people, let's give them as much as we can, and finding ways to help them in day-to-day living. But it's evolved considerably since then.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, the heart of what really we knew was the most important part of the work was the deep relationships that we built with people. And we recognized that when we worked alongside of people, that those relationships deepened even more, and it helped to bring even more stability to people. And so, there was that mixed with us really consulting with the community. What are the needs? What are you facing? And out of those focus groups and surveys and all those kinds of things, what rose to the top was people wanted job opportunities. There's this stereotype of people who are, living in poverty or they're homeless. They don't want to work. Totally not the case at all. People want to work, but they need somebody to give them an opportunity to do
Correct.
that. Any CEO who's going through a, stack of CVs, looking to hire the right talent. If you have somebody who, I've got 10 years gap from when I had my last job. and I don't have any real updated skills, all those kinds of things. Those people just get weeded out right away, right? And so just think of that, times 10 for anybody who, I wouldn't say for anybody, but for most people in the downtown Eastside community, people who, employment has been a real struggle, and just inconsistencies and challenges, and dealing with all kinds of different traumas, dealing with there's homelessness, a whole host of things.
For those listeners, people listening and watching, downtown Eastside Vancouver is compared to Skid Row. I mean, not in size, because I think Skid Row is like 100, what is it, like 38 square blocks. It's just pretty big, where downtown Eastside is, what's downtown Eastside, 7 or 8 blocks?
Yeah, I mean, it's roughly a square kilometer is kind of what it's factored into. Yeah, it's about 5 different neighborhoods combined, and to make up what's the actual downtown East Side.
Yeah. So drugs, prostitution, what else are we talking about? We're just kind of the one thing that I found really impressive in talking to some folks is that you have people, we think, oh, well, and I'll say what other people are thinking sometimes. You'll drive through there, you'll look at what a bunch of bums these people are, and they don't have this and they don't have drive, and look how lazy. There's just so many factors that go through addiction. One of the person we were walking through had a great job, and he was just a working addict or a functional addict. And when his income went down, the addiction doubled up, and just lost, he had $1 million business and just went down and just lost everything.
Yeah.
And then other sexual abuse, there's just some people left one place because they were mistreated in more of a rural environment. They come back here and they get treated the same way. And how do you not get down on yourself? And you go say, how what's my worth as a human being? Am I seen? Is anybody hearing me? Do I matter? So it doesn't, even if you are well mentally, where you don't have a chemical imbalance, just it plays with your brain. I'm a useless human being, and then you knock yourself down, and then it just spirals and spirals and spirals. So I think people lay judgment when they drive by on people that say, oh, well, you've been like that and you can't get yourself out, and it's easy to get yourself out. Hey, listen, when's the last time I've had when there are, and it's people, I tell my kids this, when there's a bag of Sour Patch Kids in my house, I have to eat the whole thing. That's addiction. it's addiction.
Yep.
And so imagine doing the same thing, but with very, impactful alcohol or drugs that can kill you. I mean, sugar can kill you too, but I mean.
Yeah, absolutely. And people all across Canada,
North America,
the world face addiction. They face abuse, they face traumas, all those kinds of things. But what's the thing, one of the key factors that really leads to people experiencing ongoing poverty and or homelessness is really, it's often related to breakdown in family, breakdown in community, that they no longer have a support structure, and they're on their own. And when that happens, there's a lot of people who find community in the downtown East Side. People are incredibly just open, non-judgmental. There's just a real connection that people have, much more so than you'll find in other parts of the city. And that's a real gift in this community, is for people to be able to make those deep connections.
There is a story. There was an undercover cop in the downtown East Side who went as a paraplegic in a wheelchair, and he pretended to not be able to access his money pouch. So he had a fanny pack. And the report says nobody ever stole. He would trade for cigarettes and coins. Everybody would still give him the exact amount of change. Nobody abused. Nobody reached out, stole anything from him.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And so tell me that's not community, even though we see it as not acceptable, but there is still that we band together. We are alike, so we need to associate together. So.
Yeah, for sure. And I don't want to paint it with rose-colored glasses. I mean, there are there's predatory activity that happens. There's a lot of dysfunction, but the reality is what most people experience is they're able to have good connection, and people who really genuinely care for them, that is often lacking in other parts of their life, which they're able to find here. So really, one of the things of the downtown east side is really to understand the resilience of the people who are here, the abilities, just the skills people have, the experience they have, just amazing people who are here and make up this community. And there's over 20,000 people who live in the downtown east side, and over half are experiencing poverty.
That's
and
crazy.
So huge concentration of that, and which just makes really difficult. It just feels like the solution is, or the problem is overwhelming. And so, the solutions never seem effective enough. There's never enough to do to solve everything. But what we are doing,
let's bring it back to Mission Possible as what it is today.
Yeah. What we are really doing is trying to create opportunities for people who have those skills, have those abilities, and have the desire and motivation to move back into paid work, to be able to not just be a recipient of services within the community, but to change that, to begin to be a contributor, to be able to use what they have, and recognize that they are gifted people who make the world better, and have opportunities for them to be able to exercise that is totally transformative. And so for more than 10 years now, that's really been the thrust of what Mission Possible has been doing. We have been creating jobs. We run 2 small businesses, and we've been doing training. We have been doing coaching through the International Coaching Federation. We've had a great partner. Essential Impact has been training all of our staff, and that's really what we've been utilizing as a way to try to shift the mindset of folks that we work with to be able to see themselves through that strengths-based lens, and just through using the coaching method, and then giving people a paid work opportunity. We start everybody out with a 6-month contract, and they get to work on a team with people who care about them, people who want to see them succeed, who are helping to mentor them, helping regain those habits and skills, or some for the first time. We've had some people in their 40s, they've never had a job. They've been single mothers or various things, and this is their kind of entree into work for the first time. And so to be able to offer that opportunity with a supportive community it's a beautiful thing.
The one thing that Mission Possible does extremely well that a lot of companies don't do well and always look for is that there's a coaching and mentorship aspect of it, and there's the work. And so to bring the people back up, the job of an organization as leadership is to facilitate and elevate. And so we go, oh, you don't need coaching. That's horseshit. You don't need this. You don't need that. Mission Possible makes it its mission to make sure that you have positive influence by facilitating and elevate them, facilitating their work back or their path back to work, and elevating them both as contributing member of the economy, but as individuals as well. So that's what every company should do. Everybody should follow the exact same model as you do. Bring somebody in, facilitate their work, elevate their individual. You leverage, and I think this is a segue into what the title of the show, you leverage people's contribution. What's the official title for when people gifts, donations?
Yeah, donations.
Donations. So you leverage the budget that you've got through donations and grants to be able to coach and mentor these people. So it is a very transient, because I think the longest people, there's a 10-year, people come in, come out more often than they stay within Mission Possible when it comes to trade. So Mission Possible has how many in the secondary business? How many? So we have cleaning crew, we have graffiti removal, we have suite turnover. What are the 2 other ones?
Yeah, and landscaping team.
Oh, landscaping team. Yeah.
And then our street cleaning team.
Street cleaning,
litter pickup. Doing micro cleaning around the city. And then the other business is MP Neighbors, which is individuals go through security training. They get licensed with the province, and we do a community watch service in the downtown Eastside, and really trying to build bridges between people who live in the community and people who are running businesses in the community, and really trying to facilitate positive space for people and look out for the safety, security of the community.
So how is it? So let's get back to the title of the show. What's the title of the show again?
When business doesn't make money.
Leading a business that doesn't make money. So the people who are listening go, what the hell are you talking about? So let's go. Let's dive into it. Let's put the meat in the middle.
Yeah.
Why'd you pick that title?
So what we run at Mission Possible are social enterprises. And for people who, that's becoming a more common term, but for people who don't know, a social enterprise in kind of its purest sense is a business that's owned by the community. So it's not owned by an individual, it's owned by the community. And so for us, that's through a nonprofit. The vehicle of nonprofit, our charitable organization owns the businesses. And so at the end of the day, those businesses were started and continue to operate and grow in order to not just generate revenue that comes into the organization, but it's really about creating employment opportunities that propel people forward and really lead to life transformation. And so there's this double bottom line that happens in social enterprise. So you have your financial bottom line, and for us, it's about trying to break even.
Break even.
As most businesses, it's like, okay, we're going to lose money for the first couple of years or maybe even longer, depending on what the startup is. With our nonprofit, we lost money for the first 6-8 years, somewhere in there. But ultimately, we're always striving toward a break even. We're not trying to make a financial profit. What we are trying to really see the profit in is our social impact. It's not the financial impact; it's the social impact. And so, the funds that we get through our fundraising efforts, those are dollars given that translate into job opportunities. It translate into paid wages into people's pockets. And there was an Ernst & Young study that came out, 4 or 5 years ago that said for every dollar that was paid in wages through the social enterprise, which this was done on one here in the downtown Eastside, there was a $4.13 return on investment.
What?
Through the reduction of emergency services, medical services, housing supports, all these various things that are needed, because having that job really leads to a sense of connection, leads to stability for people, leads to better income, better quality of life, et cetera, et cetera. There's all these. It's a bit of a domino effect, and impacts all parts of people's lives, and so it's not just donations that people are making. There's real impact, and real lives are being changed, and not just so that's the financial argument, right? Is okay if we know, people have been saying this for years, it's cheaper to house people than it is to keep people on the streets. And yet we continue to not have enough housing, and we continue to pay for people to be on the streets. And, and as a society, we haven't really taken on the hard work of saying we need to get people housed. We need to make sure that they have a safe, secure place. And then for us, we believe in housing first. We're not a housing organization, but we want people to be housed. But we recognize in order for people to have housing, that's one step. But having a job and all the benefits that come with that, that's the next step that needs to happen. And so there's not enough social enterprise in this community. We are trying to continue to grow and create more jobs, because there's more and more people all the time that come to us and want to work. And so we're continuing to work to make more job opportunities. But we really believe that if we can have both housing and have an economy, a local economy, that's not just social enterprises, but it's actually partnered with other small businesses, medium-sized businesses that recognize they can be part of the solution. They can do social hiring. That we're really trying to move the needle, in this community to see more and more people move into stability through employment, and that can happen right here in small and medium-sized businesses.
I always tell clients and companies to say, hey, listen, when you're working, make sure that you have a village mentality. And I go, what's a village mentality? So instead of going and saying, hey, let me look for the best price available, let's start with who are you going to do business with? Is more important than what are you doing business for?
Yeah.
So the same thing, because I want to bring it back to what we talked about probably 10 minutes, 20 minutes ago, is hiring for the right people or embarking on the right journey. People tend to, CEOs look at, okay, so I'm going to look at the knowledge that you've got. How many years of experience do you have as an executive director? 1. Number 2, I'm going to say, what skills do you have? And then the third one is, what's your attitude? Where it's completely the opposite. Hire for the attitude first. Hire for the person who's looking to learn. Hire for the person who's got the desire. So there's 3 fundamental behaviors. How do I attach to a community? How do I identify? Right? That's number 1. Number 2 is, what am I learning? Because human beings have this curious nature of, I always want to be curious. I want to learn more. I want more. And when you're not satisfied in life is usually because you're not learning, you're not exposed to new adventures. That's why people love to travel, is because I want to see something different. I want to see something new. And therefore, that's the learning capacity. And then the third one is, how am I spreading our biological need to leave a legacy is to teach. That's why so many people love to teach, will love to coach, love to mentor, is because it's that desire to leave that knowledge behind. If you lose 2 out of those 3, who are you as a human being? And I think that that's what Mission Possible does through employment. And it says, okay, do I get to wear a red t-shirt? That kept number 1, I'm part of a team. Number 2, am I learning something else? Yeah, I'm actually learning something else. And number 3, am I teaching something else? If I'm working as a team, am I contributing and am I leaving some of that legacy behind? Because cleaning something, building a house, removing something, that's part of that building. You're using your hands and your body to leave something behind. I left this place cleaner than it was before. And people tend to forget that there's those small wins are what make us happy on a day-to-day basis. They forget that. Yep. They forget that.
Yep.
So tell me, as an executive director, let's talk about your dark secret.
Yeah. So my dark secret is that I don't want to have to do my job. I love the opportunity to meet new people. I love to learn from the people I get to work with. I love to be part of their journey, walk alongside them as they're, doing this hard work and moving back into employment, and really learning this cross-cultural language, moving from where a lot of times it's a survival mentality, and people are really stuck in this rhythm of survival. And what we're trying to do is recognize, okay, when you're working for an employer, there's different expectations, and there's much more long-term reward than there is short-term. And so helping people make that movement from what's kind of immediate survival mentality into, I've got to have these habits, and I've got to meet these expectations, and I'm going to learn a lot along the way because I don't have it all together right now, and so making that journey is difficult. And so for me, I would love to not have to do the work that I do, even though I get to be part of these people's lives. The reason that I have to be part of these, or I get to be part of these people's lives, is because they're struggling in poverty. They're struggling with all kinds of challenges, and I wish that wasn't the case. I want people to be able to recognize that they are a gift to the world. I want them to know that they are loved, and be able to experience that they have worth that extends beyond what their abilities are, but who they are as people. And being able to do that is amazing. But Yeah, I want people to be able to experience that, and I wish that we as a culture and society could move to a place where people are included, people do belong, people are able to be seen for the gifts and strengths that they have, and the job opportunities would be there that are meaningful for people, and that they wouldn't feel excluded because of their postal code or because of their injuries that they've had or addictions or mental health challenges, whatever it may be, that people would, wouldn't need Mission Possible. And I think when I envision what that looks like into the future, we're taking small steps all the time to try to make that happen, and it's a person by person work at this point. But seeing our local economy begin to change is really kind of this overall goal, where the businesses down the street are willing to take one of our graduates and give them an employment opportunity. And that happens again, and it happens again. And so that more and more businesses become inclusive hirers, inclusive employers. And, again, the data shows that when businesses do that, they have higher productivity, they are more profitable, and they have better workplace cultures. They have better employee retention. There's all kinds of positive things that come when a business is intentionally an inclusive employer. But yet, not enough companies do that. And so for us, we've actually created a guidebook for employers to be able to do that. For small businesses who don't have HR departments, what are some best practices around doing social hiring? So we've got a guidebook on our website that folks can use, and has some great best practices in there to support people. We're totally open to being a part of that as well and helping to coach people, but really recognizing that intentional inclusive hiring and is something that is has the or the potential to dramatically shift the economic situation for so many people, including those who are doing well, because we know it costs more for people to not be doing well.
For the people who are listening and the CEOs that are out there, Matt doesn't focus on bottom line results. That's what we're saying here. As the executive director, the CEO of the organization, you're not focusing on the bottom line. You're focusing on the process. Saying, how do I make sure that everybody goes through here, is coached well, and goes through process and leaves with employment? And you're not focused. So it's a clear demonstration of, some people panic and they go, oh, what's the bottom line? What's the gross revenue? What are we doing? How are we growing? Instead of focusing on the process. And that process, and I shouldn't say it's funny. I talk to my kids about this and they go, I say, do you love your mom? Yeah. Does mom love you? She goes, yeah. So what does she do that makes you think that she loves you? And he's like, she feeds me. Well, she feeds the dog. So which one's more important, the dog or you? He's like, oh, that's not funny. I said, yeah. Okay. So it's not about feeding you. What does she, well, let's think about this for a second. What is it that she really does when you think about feeding me? Well, she makes food that I like. Oh, so she's intentional in understanding you as a human being prefers cheeseburger than salad.
Yeah.
So she makes you more cheeseburger. She still makes you eat salad, but she still thinks of you as an individual and her desire to make you happy. So therefore she knows that you're going to eat most of your meal and then be a good boy after. So if you are intentional with the relationships that you have with your staff, that's the key to success.
Absolutely.
So money is just a result of it. Now, don't get me wrong. No money, no ship, no jobs. It's detrimental to the economy. What I'm saying is that although you have to look at, because you still have to look at the bottom line. You still have to.
For sure. We got to make sure the bills get paid. Yep,
exactly.
Absolutely.
Right. Exactly. Right. So, and then people wouldn't go to how shitty would that be as if you bring people through, you coach them, you give them a job, but you don't give them a paycheck at the end. Hello.
Yep.
Well, that's going to, I'm going to open up a can of worms with me on that one when it comes to salary. I'm looking at the camera for those people who are, when you're looking at donations and you look at the executive director's salary and you think that he or she should make less than a normal CEO, shame on you. Shame on you. Shame on you. And did I say shame on you? Because, hey, so I'm going to diverge a little bit. Mission Possible, for those who know what EOS is, so Entrepreneur Operating System, Mission Possible runs EOS better than for-profit. A non-for-profit is exactly that. You run your business not for profit. Mm-hmm. Doesn't mean that you don't run tight cogs. Doesn't mean that you don't have a tight G&A or a tight overhead. Mm-hmm. You just don't make money to profit. And if you happen to have profit, you can put it in your piggy bank for a little bit, but then IRS or CRA comes knocking in different ways, as Matt knows, as we've talked about before.
That hasn't been an issue for us. So,
Mission, no. Matthew McCormick, no, Matthew McConaughey. That's who I'm interviewing right now. Anyways, I kind of lost the chain of thought here, but the point that I was trying to make is when you're looking at an organization and as yours, the process is key to success. Mm-hmm. And that's, I think, again, to say you process people in a coaching and mentorship way that is absolutely phenomenal, and other companies, organizations should follow the same principle that money is a result of good business practice. Mm-hmm. Period. Mm-hmm. Period.
Yep.
So let's talk about salaries for a sec.
This might get a little awkward.
So tell me, and I'm just saying salaries, what is the difference in the mindset of somebody who works for a non-for-profit versus a profit? What's the major difference between you as a non-for-profit CEO, mm-hmm. as a profit CEO? What do you think the mindset is different?
I think the main mindset is people who are in for-profit companies are generally they're either legally required to, or they're driven to make money, right? Mm-hmm. Like that's what they're there for. Mm-hmm. Where someone who is working in a nonprofit, they are there to accomplish the mission of mm-hmm. that organization, and the mission is what drives the whole thing. And so folks aren't there; they aren't there to make money. They aren't there for the bonuses or mm-hmm. All those kinds of things. And so that's the real difference. And we have so many folks who come and work for us because they want to do something meaningful, right? I mean, there's not total lack of meaning mm-hmm. in a lot of for-profit business, but it's not focused on the impact that they're making in the community to change mm-hmm. the community, to change the world for the better. And so, that's why most people work in nonprofits. They're really driven by the mission. They're driven by values, and ultimately want to see the world changed through their efforts and their life.
I think a lot of for-profit businesses are thinking more like nonprofit businesses. If we're looking at B Corps, if we're mm-hmm. looking at companies with mission, I can't remember the shoe company, Buy One, and Tom's yep. right? Mm-hmm. Buy One. There's a T-shirt company that helps with, I believe, trees. There's a lot of like Chop Value, I think it is. They collect all the chopsticks and mm-hmm. they're for a profit as well.
Yep.
But they really help out with the economy. What is it from the nonprofit side that you really dislike about the workforce? And I say dislike, would like to improve on. When you hire people that come to Mission Possible and you go, if there's one thing I could change in my workforce that is consistent across other non-for-profit, what's that one thing you'd like to change?
I think just the for us, we have our values that we try to hire by, mm-hmm. And there's some of the greatest challenges we have are when people talk like they meet those values and want to work by them, but the reality is that they don't.
Okay.
And I think that's a real challenge. And so for us, we really focus on those values within our whole staff, trying to reinforce them, reward by them, hire, fire by them. And so, I mean, if I had a crystal ball to be able to see how, do people really align with these?
Okay, yeah.
I think that's the thing that I would want to see. I'll be honest, the one that stands out the most, and probably is the most important, and as you've talked about, attitude, is humble. That's one of our values. And so anytime we see somebody really struggling when they come in, it's often because that's one that doesn't come naturally to them. And that can just be insecurities. It can be ego, a whole host of things that can lead to that, but humble doesn't manifest itself. And so I think for any person who's going to be part of a team, especially a mission-driven, values-driven team, coming with a sense of humility is critical. And for us, we don't say that it's some sort of putting yourself down, or we believe that you should be confident in what you know, but you need to be honest about what you don't. And so making sure that we have that openness and honesty there is really important. And if I could have that across the board, that's probably the one that would rise to the top.
What is the for-profit kind of best practice that is not necessarily applied in non-for-profit that you think, damn, I know we should do this. I know we can do this. Why do we not have this, either this behavior, the system, this mentality in the nonprofit that profit has, that you could say, we could very well do this. Just don't know why nobody does it.
Yeah. Well, I would say the EOS implementing that we've been doing over the last 3.5 years or so has been really transformative for the organization in really positive ways. And it has highlighted gaps that we have. And I would say the thing that we as a small nonprofit, are probably challenged with the most are really having that ability to invest in our staff with their own professional development in really solid ways. We have folks who come in, and we do bring them on because they do have the right attitude. They've got the right motivation. And for us, we're working with them, trying to instill skills, to help them grow, to help them be more effective, all those kinds of things. But lots of for-profit companies invest a lot in training, and we'll run folks through those. They'll spend a lot of dollars to make that happen. And for us, it's a slower incremental process. And if I had one thing that I could really, say if I had $1 million today, here's where I would start investing. And it's really in my people, making sure we strengthen the skill set that we have, because we have such fantastic people, and want them to be able to be their best and be equipped for everything that comes their way. In a lot of for-profits, when you run into challenges with people, the normal thing is cut them loose. Sorry, you caused problems, you're gone.
Yeah. For
us, we're trying to help people work through the problems, right? And so it's really about as broad as you can think of in the different things that come up, and being able to be equipped for every situation that arises. It's really challenging, and you will face a lot more challenges working in our nonprofit than you would in another for-profit.
Oh, absolutely.
Right? And so it's not, and so we don't have a normal HR department that just kind of deals with things. Our team is the HR department, right? And we have our entire team goes through coaching training. We utilize that with both our participants. We utilize it with our staff. We have external coaches, et cetera. And we want to make sure that we are fully supporting and equipping our team. But for one thing that I would love to see strengthened would be that just training and equipping to a deeper level.
I hope that people are listening. You've heard the nugget about how HR is not a department. That leadership is meant to be for everybody. It's like same thing with safety. Safety is not a department, it's something that you do, safe production. So 95+% of businesses operate with 95+% of people. AI and robotics are not there yet. So why is it that we think that we want to be so transactional in different ways when we run a business, that we are so high on ourselves that we can manipulate cold data to think that money is what drives everybody's decision?
Yeah.
It's just absolutely hoarse.
Yeah, absolutely. And without being too judgmental, it is what leads to people who are experiencing poverty today. They may have made some errors in judgment at their work. They may have, had some illness come up, that they couldn't work, whatever. And companies are, all right, well, we just need to get that filled. And sorry, that there is that transactional mentality that has been there. My hope is, and my sense is that's shifting. I think there really is, especially with the younger. I just have a kid who just graduated high school, and so recognizing the values that are being instilled in younger people, in younger workforce, there is much more intentionality around working at a good business, right? Where a business has values that they run by, they're run ethically, they actually take care of their people. And I know that's becoming more and more important and kind of rising, to be what kind of drives business. But we're not there yet. And so there's still room to grow, and there's real opportunity for businesses to think about, okay, if I were to invest a lot more in people who are facing challenges, and figure out how do I support them? How do I help them navigate this? And then you're going to have a much more engaged workforce, a much healthier culture within your organization, your business, that will pay dividends. And so anybody who's not doing that, who is, has more of that cold transactional approach to things, it ends up being more costly. If you're looking at the bottom line, we know that. But it also, it becomes more costly to the community. And so what we need to make sure that people who are running good businesses, who are who do inclusive hiring, who are thoughtful about what they're doing, that those are the people that we're doing business with. And in so doing, we're reinforcing those traits that we want to see in the world, right?
Yeah, absolutely. What's the biggest win? So as the CEO and executive director, what's your biggest win? What are you the most proud of at Mission Possible?
Man, so many things.
It could be a success story. It could be, you have to be specific. What's the one thing that you're, let's talk about what CEOs talk about. What's the one thing that you go, this is my top thing. This is what I'm most proud of.
Yeah. What I am most proud of is when I have watched people journey. I have watched them fall down. They have faced real hardship and challenges, and they've gotten back up. They've come back to Mission Possible. They're going to try again.
Oh, wow.
They may face more challenges. Some of them, one individual specific example, I think he's started with us 3 times.
Oh, my.
He's faced, health challenges, addictions challenges, all kinds of things that even the doctors are like, I don't know how this guy's still alive.
My.
He's like a walking miracle. And yet he continues to get up. He continues to be motivated, and he has come back, and he's come back. And about 2 weeks ago, he got hired on permanently with us. And so,
nice.
Just so excited to just see the journey that he's been on, and to be a part of it, knowing that, what we're doing, the opportunities that we're giving, they lead to change lives. And so, that's probably what I'm most proud of. when I look in the mirror, I am also just so proud of what Mission Possible and the Downtown Eastside community has offered to me as a place for me to grow, for a place for me to offer my skills and my gifts to the community, and know that I too have been changed. It's not just our participants, are just not just the residents of the community. It's those who are here working, who may live a few blocks away, or may not have experienced the same kinds of challenges, the same level of trauma, things like that. We still come away changed, and it's a beautiful thing.
Let's go business to business, non-for-profit, for-profit. Out of the 6 pillars of business, out of governance, growth, operations, finance, people, risk, what do you do best? What do you go, I will stand toe-to-toe with any profit or non-profit, my company, Mission Possible. When we're talking about business, what do we do best? Where will we go? I'm really proud of that. What's that?
Absolutely. The main thing that I would say we could go toe to toe on would just be on service delivery.
Ooh.
There's often this sense of if I hire a social enterprise, I should expect a lower quality, lesser product, right? And we have been working, hard year after year to ensure that when we go out and we market and we tell people what we can offer them, we are leading with, high quality service, guarantee, satisfaction guarantee, and we're going to deliver for you. And by the way, you're gonna really add social value as an added benefit as we're training and employing people from the community. But we're not leading with the foot of we're trying to
pity us or something
pity
else.
us. We're and we'll try to deliver on some service for you. No, that's not what we're doing. We're out there and in so doing, because we are committed to quality, because we are committed to doing the job well, that totally elevates the sense of dignity, the sense of purpose in the work that we do, completely has that effect on those who are doing the work, and recognizing they're contributing to this to this product, to this service, and recognizing the impact that it makes for the customer. It's that whole becoming the contributor, and and recognizing that
the surprise that a lot of people or a lot of companies shouldn't have is like, oh, well, they did a great job. Like, what were you expecting? Something lesser? Oh, I get that. I understand it when people go, so, well, I'll compromise. I'll donate my dollars. I know that UNICEF is going to take 90%, and that little kid that I see in Africa is only going to get 2 grains of rice, and I'm going to feel good about it. But now they feel good about hiring Mission Possible, but they also go, oh shit, you guys did a great job. So I'm great. Thank you very much. Let's go the opposite now. When you look at those 6 pillars, where you go, we don't do this so well. And that you want to improve on.
Yeah.
Making profit.
There's one, right? Like, but for us, again, it's both the financial profit, it's the social profit, right? My goal is to, make sure that our financial profits stay, we're kind of breaking even, and continuing to increase that social profit
by making money. Well, you have to increase it's basic physics.
Yeah. Well,
to have more of something, you have to give it more, your water, you have to grow it, you have to nurture it, you have to give it more time, more energy, more resources.
Absolutely.
So the more money you make, the more people you can help.
Exactly. Yep. And the more people we help, the more it costs us, right? Because we're investing in people. And so for us, we want to continue to be able to grow both our dollars, our donations, and our fee for service work that we're doing. But really through partnership, what we want to see is a network of businesses that are partnering with us, and they can be donors, absolutely, but they can also be customers. And they can be employers. They can employ our graduates. And so really trying to be more than just, us doing the work. It's through partnerships that we will see that happen. And so we're continually trying to grow that. one of the things that people can do, no matter where they are in the world, is through their procurement process. And so, depending on what they buy, they can make a huge impact.
Oh, absolutely.
Right. And so, we've been working, with another nonprofit who runs a social procurement roundtable, and so we're trying to get more and more people to come to the table.
Well, you can drop their name if you want to.
Yeah, well, it's Buy Social is the name of the organization who's been running it, and for us, it's about bringing people to the table who are social enterprises who have services and products to offer, and then purchasers who come to the table and can tell us what they're looking for and how they can make, they know they want to make a difference in how they procure things. And,
yeah. Procurement, an organization procuring is consuming.
Yeah.
So the consumer has a choice. Now, the client's not always right, but if you want to move the needle, just move consumerism, right? So if you want to move people from buying meat to plant-based meat, then that's how you do it, is the consumer makes the choice by opening up their wallet. So that's, simple 101. So if you have the opportunity for people, I think one of the things that you guys is a bit of a barrier is that you operate in a very small district. So it's, you could grow if you sold your services further down the road, but then that would exponentially increase your cost and your logistics and just kind of set you up for success. So that, for me, what I like about Mission Possible is there's a prosperous model. So it's not about grow. You're still providing the services, but at a certain point you say, okay, well, here's our sandbox, here's our playground. We can't necessarily grow that. So how do we service as many as people as we can within that framework, which is, when you look at growing a tree, when you're expanding, you can know, I can plant more trees and get more fruit. Or do I just care really, do I put a lot of detail and attention to this one tree so it bears more fruit without necessarily expanding the footprint of that? So I think that's the situation that you're in at Mission Possible. It's hard to go, well, okay, we'll take jobs in a couple of miles away or 5 miles away. Well, that's a little bit too far because most of the people that we want to employ are close, and that brings that proximity and that community component to it, as you said, right?
Yeah, we do services kind of throughout the Lower Mainland here in Vancouver, but for us, it's about competitiveness. Once we get out there, we're tacking on travel time and all that kind of stuff, then we just can't compete as well. I think in the future you will see us in other communities because the downtown Eastside is not the only community that has poverty in the downtown Eastside, in the Lower Mainland. Yeah. And we've had conversations for years with others who want to do this in their own community. And so creating the guide that we did is one way of helping to facilitate that. And, but that's something that bridges not just the nonprofit world, but into the for-profit as well.
We need to franchise Mission Possible.
We do. Yeah.
What's the term for a non-for-profit franchise? Is there?
I think it's franchise.
Anyways, franchises are not for profit. So people who have franchises, you guys are going to listen to me and you're going to say, yeah, hell yeah. Starting a franchise, don't think that you're going to make money for the first 140 years. But anyway, I'm just teasing. There's some good franchises out there. So, so Matt, let's talk about you for a sec here. What is the one piece of reference that is your go-to when you kind of do a self-assessment and you go, oh shit, I need to dive deep. What am I good at? So for example, I learned 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. And putting first things first is the thing that I think I said every episode. I always go back to prioritizing. My job is to help companies through transitions. Slow, fast, big, little, maturity, doesn't matter. So constantly reprioritizing is what I make a living off of. And building systems around that. So for me, putting first things first from Stephen Covey is what I fall back to 80% of the time. It doesn't have to be a book. It could be a coach. It could be a piece of reference. What is your go-to to go when it's time to lead and I have to rethink about leading or managing? What's the piece of reference that you go to?
Yeah, I think the thing that has been the most effective or influential for me has been the coaching training. And so, and the key part of that is really, it has been through having a direct conversation about the challenge in front of me and being able to articulate what I'm thinking. And then most of the time when I hear what I'm thinking, I'm like, I don't believe that. And to be honest, that the reason that I'm in this job today is because of my coach. I had this, ability to put roadblocks, in mental roadblocks, in front of myself, and didn't even think about this job as a possibility for me. I couldn't do that, right? And to begin to articulate why and what are the things that are preventing that, and being start talking through things, and I'm like, I'm just making excuses here. There's and it's all in my head, right? Like there's nothing really that's there. There's no substance, and so to have that kind of conversation can be so enlightening, and totally opens up the possibilities, and you start to see things more clearly, and so being able to go through that process and come out the other side really feeling like, okay, I've got some clarity. I know what I need to do. I know where I'm headed, and go. And I've used that time and time again for huge, decisions in my life, but also smaller things that I come across, challenges that I'm having, and being able to articulate, verbalize, what I think it is, and then hear myself think. I don't even need to hear advice from you or whatever, because I hear myself talking and I'm like, that's not right, and everything becomes more clear. It becomes more simple, and I can take action on it. Before the show, when we were doing the sound check, I was like, Matt, you're in my head. I can hear you. I can hear you in my head. What's going on? Who are you? Fear setting. So if we look at Tim Ferriss, he's got a YouTube out there that says how to do fear setting. And it's incredible how, no matter how fearless you think you are, how set you are as an adult. I mean, I've been shot at, I've lived in different countries, I've been swung at with machetes in Africa, and you go, the fear of not being able to provide for my family, it sets in. And you go, oh, I can't do this, I can't do that. And all of a sudden you go, whoa. And then when you start articulating, what is your fear? What are you afraid of? Because fear is an anticipation. It's like purchasing. You assume yourself, you put yourself in a future state, and you think that that's going to happen. So it's not even happening. So you go, okay, well, what are the consequences? So you do risk management, and you go, oh, wow, I'm applying same principles as I would do for a business. And you go, oh, well, that's not so bad. Here's what I can do to lessen the impact and do that. So I think that's critical in being able to assess yourself. So no, good. That's what you go back to constantly. There's a thing that you said before we kind of, because I want to bring it full circle in regards to a company for non-for-profit, because I think you've mentioned it a few times, and too many people don't understand the power of feedback. And when you break it down, so when we do feedback engine, which is car. So like driving a car, context, action, results. What's the context? What's the action? What's the result? And what I love about the feedback engine is we don't say positive or negative feedback. We say, hey, success feedback. You've been successful at achieving this task that I asked you to do. So context, here's what happened yesterday. You did this, and here's the result for that. That's fabulous. And then we don't say negative, because you assume that a person is going to put themselves in a position of, well, who are you to tell me what to do? So you're shutting down that relationship. So you go context, action. So yesterday, here's the impacted or the at-risk behavior you had, and here's the impact or the at-risk result that you had. And then you start with questions, say, so how, what else could you have done to achieve other result? That feedback loop, what I think Mission Possible does so well is having that feedback loop, because you said it, with the entire company, with the entire community.
So you do it with your customers, your clients. You do it with the associates. You do it with the people who are not yet associates. You do it with the people who work for you. You do it with the donors. You have a society who is rich in feedback. And I think that that's the strength that Mission Possible does. And no matter how much you work to come full circle with saying that you're running a business at a nonprofit, the amounts of emotional equity, if you want to put like a value and an impact to do, what you bring to human beings outweighs any type of profit that you can think of. Now, that's what I think about when I think about Mission Possible and what you guys do. So,
yeah,
wow, solid. I did a good job on that, circling.
I should have put that in your head.
What for those people listening, my Matt and I, we are motorcycle enthusiasts. So what do you ride, Matt?
KLR 650. You know, the budget dual sport, as I like to think of it.
The one piston machine.
That's right. That's right.
Can't kill that thing. And I ride Tiger 900, which is the opposite spectrum.
It is.
It's the most expensive adventure bike I think that's out there, at the exception. I don't.
But his has more dents in it than mine.
That is for sure. For sure. I don't say I dropped, because I didn't drop it. I flew off my bike or pushed my bike away in drying. So in British Columbia, we have FSR, 4 service roads, to which we go on adventures, hence the adventure bike. So we actually ride our bikes.
That's right.
We actually ride our bikes compared to others. So anyways, that's a good one. Matthew, I called you Matthew again. That's the first thing I said when I first met Matt, and I called him Matthew with the executive team. They said, "Did you just call him Matthew?" I was like, "Yeah, what's wrong with that? That's his name, man." Like, that's what his mom calls him, Matt. Thank you very much for being on the show. It was lovely to have you here. It's
my pleasure. Yeah, thanks so much for having me.
Was it fun? Was it enjoyable?
It was great. Yeah, I really enjoyed it.
Oh, good, yeah. Good. Are you okay if people reach out to you?
Absolutely.
How do they reach out to you?
Best way is through email.
Okay.
Email is Matt, MATT, @mission-possible.ca.
Okay. And then you're on LinkedIn as well?
I am.
Okay.
Yep.
And the same thing, www.mission-possible.ca. There's good videos on there as well. So if you want to see what Matt and the crew does, just go on YouTube, type that in, and then you'll see some pretty powerful images.
Yep.
With that said, thank you very much for being on the show. My name is Martin Hunter. I am the host of What CEOs Talk About, where we translate strategy into frontline operations. Thanks, Matt.
Thank you.
Thanks for tuning in to What CEOs Talk About. Make sure to click subscribe to get notified about future episodes, or check us out at www.whatceostalkabout.com.